Hi, welcome to Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I am Kathy. Good to see you. Hi, Christian and Sun Hiker Mutt. Good to see you. So I'm doing a weekday live, which is very rare. This is an unusual sighting of me on weeknights. But I did want to go over what I was able to hear today in the Trezell and Jacqueline West case. Orrin and Orson West, classic and sincere, the original names. And I am just kind of threw some notes together while I was multitasking, working, and got as much as I could. There's probably some holes. If anybody knows anything that they listened to that I didn't get, please pipe in the chat and let us know. If you're watching the replay, thank you for being here. And if you're new, my name's Kathy. This channel is about 3 years old. I started with the Lori Vallow Daybell case, which is going to trial next week, Lori's case, and made some videos on Letitia Stout, which is going to trial next week. And this case was one of my first pretty invested into cases, the West case. This case became very controversial. If you don't know about this case, I have videos on it. Other people have videos on it. There was a lot of really kind of just I don't even want to go there, but there was a lot of background social media people banging heads over this case. I personally am still keeping a completely open mind. I was actually surprised that Jacqueline and Trezell were actually arrested for the murder of Orrin and Orson West. There's no body been found. And I was like, okay, let's just see what the evidence shows. I am on the side of justice no matter which way it goes. So we want those boys to get justice. So hi, everyone. So anyway, I did a quick video during my lunch break of the morning part of the hearing. You are able to listen in on the hearing. They are very strict about you not record anything. It is the law and you could get in big trouble. So I didn't record anything. I literally just wrote notes at whatever I could hear. A lot of the audio was bad when they did the police interview, so bear with me on that. There's probably some holes in that. And they it's just weird so far though. Today was only day one. They got their jury last couple week ago. Today was only day one in this trial. And it kind of started out a little like, whoa, what's happening here? I am really curious to see what the real solid evidence is that gave them enough to literally no body trial. It's got to be big, right? And no body trial is not that easy to convict. So it's got to be something big. They haven't shown that yet. They haven't shown that card yet. Sorry. So just briefly, the morning, if you didn't listen to the video that I made about the morning part of it, I'll just briefly, that was pretty short anyway. So we'll put that up there here in a second. I will get those notes. What happened? Okay. Now, the morning part started out, I missed the opening. I didn't get the opening statements at all. It was a little, I heard the tail end of one, but I'm not even going to comment on it because it was out of context, whatever I heard. So I'm not going to comment on that. The very first witness that they called this morning was the 911 operator. Her name was Telia, and I got her last name. I have an ARTJO. I don't know if that's correct, but she was the very first witness called this morning by the prosecution, and they put her on a stand. She took the 911 call from Trezell. They played the 911 call. It was interesting because it kind of starts out with Trezell saying, hi, I'm calling to know. I don't even know if he called 911, to be honest. I think there was somewhere, they didn't really clarify that today, but I feel like I heard something in the background at some point that it was the non-emergency line he called first. But he calls and he basically is asking, did anybody call you and say they saw or found some little kids, two little black kids, my kids. And they were like, no, where are you? Who are you? And then he starts giving the story. It's like, I was cleaning up the back, doing the firewood and stuff, and they're just gone. So that's how that started out. They played that. They played that during the cross examination, not during the prosecution. That during the prosecution, they asked her, did you call CPS? Did the officers ask you to call CPS? And she said yes. And they said, why? Well, to verify that the adoption was an actual real adoption, I guess. So that was that. Then the cross examination came. They asked her if she knew any officers by the name of Anthony that worked there at the time. She said Anthony Cabrillos. She said there's no other Anthony's here. You didn't have an officer with the last name of Anthony. She said no. So they said, do you also take business calls when you're dispatching? And she said yes. Then they asked her, does the department give you a cell phone? She said no. Does the department give officers cell phones? She said some, not all. So they said, well, so sometimes the officers use their personal cell phones for texting and calling. And she said yes. And so that was interesting a little bit because it makes a little more sense with the other witnesses. They said, are the personal cell phone calls recorded? She says no. And yeah, and see, that kind of bothers me if the other kids are the witnesses. If that's their big, Percy, shh. If that's their big evidence, that, these are foster kids, foster adopt kids, which kids can be manipulated. You know how many cases there's been kids that have been told stuff they believe. Look at Colby and I don't know the Lori Vallow case, but obviously you can feed kids. So if that's the big, that's not good. They better have something better than some kids saying something. I'm going to kill my dogs. Shh. We're not doing that right now. I'm wondering if the Amazon guy's here or something because the other one's out there barking. So just give me a second. I'll let them be quiet. They said their call signs are Adam 17 was the lead officer that was sent to the case to the call. Hansen is his name. And then the other person he came on the stand too. Hansen we haven't seen today at all. We don't know that though. See, this is the rumors. We don't know because right now that's how they indicted him. They said they didn't report him missing, but Jacqueline and Trezell's story is still they reported him missing on December 21st. You got to just ignore all the social media stuff right now and just zone in on what the evidence is showing. That's what I'm trying to do without all the other I knew they were guilty because they folded their arms, or I knew this, I knew that. We don't know. The prosecution, the people that indicted them, they know more than we do. But we don't know because there's been a gag order on this case. There's been a lot of stuff we don't know. All we initially knew was all the people and all the new YouTubers that popped up and went in front of the houses. And it was a nightmare if you weren't here in the beginning. Okay, so Adam 17 is Hansen. Then they said the dispatcher was tasked to call CPS to find out about the adoption, if it was a real adoption or whatever. Okay. She said that, did you provide CPS? How did you get a hold of him? She said, I had to wait. And then they said, okay, so you spoke to CPS and they confirmed whatever. Yes. Okay. So for whatever reason, the officers were at the house going, let me find out. Did you really adopt these kids? Are these really your kids? I don't know. Are they? I mean, they're just being police officers, asking as many questions possible they could think of, I'm sure, what the heck went on here. So, there's then the name on this report was signed by somebody named Anthony, the report that was turned in with that information, Anthony. So then they call a second witness, Joshua Flores is his name. He was working with Hansen, and Hansen was the lead investigator officer that showed up first, right? And Hansen was actually his field training officer. They asked Flores how long he had been, Joshua Flores, how long he had been an officer. As of right now, he's like 2 years in. There, he was only 5 months in. And he had gone to the academy before that for 6 months. So he was still with his training officer. My pug's making circles. Are you counting the time? Sorry. So they said when they got there, they pulled up. He said they pulled up. They saw Trezell. They were in the car. Then they drove around and looked for the boys. They just drove, the two officers. Then they went back to the West house and discussed with Trezell in the home. And they had Flores had body cam on. That was turned on. They asked Jackie. They asked Jackie. So this is, she said both kids were outside. Now, in the body cam footage, I thought we were hearing Flores talk, but I believe now, after listening to more today, it was Hansen speaking, because he says, and you hear this in the background, the kids, Jackie says they were outside playing with chalk, and he says, and she says the only way they could have gotten out was the gate. And he says, well, there's no footprints. There's no footprints. There's no way. I'm really good with tracking and footprints. And there's no way. There's no footprints out there, those kids. And, but they did say, yes, there was chalk coloring on that back door area. Then he says to Jackie, I want to know the truth. So I don't know the timestamp on this, but I find it a little bit off-putting that they're immediately jumping to, you're lying to me, there's no footprints, I want to know the truth. And then, so he basically says they didn't leave from the back. Like and then Jackie's like, well, then they would be in the house still, because there's the only way they could have left. And again, the audio is not super great. I really wish we could see these videos, but it is what it is. Then he's asking Jacqueline if she could find pictures. This is all still the body cam. And she's looking for pictures, I think, in her phone. And she says, well, where can I send them if I find them? And because I think she was looking for something more recent. And he says, you can email them to me. So to his personal email. And there was some like background noise. He said, we're going to request search and rescue. We're going to get an air, the eyes in the sky. The helicopter's going to come in. We're going to look. And she's showing him around the house in this body cam, from what I can tell. And he's like, the boys, where they sleep. And she's like, 3 in this room and 3 in this room. It's like 3 and 3. So they sleep 3 boys and 3 boys. Now, we're at the house on Aspen in California City. And then they started asking, does CPS ever come check on you? Or I don't know if they were talking to each other or to her, but, the kids were adopted. And then they were basically like, oh, so they don't come and check. Yeah, they were drawing with chalk is what Jacqueline and Trezell said. They were drawing with chalk, and he was bringing the fire. This is their story. They were drawing with chalk in the back. She was wrapping presents in the living room. It was Christmas, a couple days before Christmas, and he was bringing firewood in and out. He was going in and out, bringing firewood from the field next door, and the gate was open. No, there was no dog named Chalk. That's all. Like, again, try to just focus on I just want to tell you what I heard in the courtroom, because if we go off on all the stuff that everybody was arguing and discussing last year, it's just going to make everybody's head go, wait, what? Wait, there's a dog named Chalk. We can't start all that. No dog named Chalk, please. Oh, Vicky. Okay, you were kidding. Like, stop it, Vicky. All right, we gotcha. Joe's like, well, this is how this whole thing went, though. Remember, it was like so, like, oh wait, what dog Chalk, what? And then I don't know that one YouTube guy who was like, Chalk, like to the dog when they saw them walking, the son or the brother. Oh my God. It was just for this place was a circus. I'm sorry, you guys. It was a circus initially. So that was it. They asked if CPS checks on them. And again, I wish it was recorded so we could go back and listen to the replay because we're listening to it live. This is live in court through the court's audio. And, you know, sometimes the counselor, the lawyer kind of fades away. I don't know if they're moving around away further from the speaker. And it was, and again, remember, please forgive me, but I was multitasking. I was doing my real job, my day job, my nurse job, my case manager job. And I was, you know, I'd have to stop listening for a minute to do my phone calls. And then I was charting and stuff while that was playing. So it's not going to be as thorough as a reporter that was sitting right there, but I'm doing the best I can. And so then they were scrambling, looking for papers. She's like, I don't know. They're either in here or they're in the garage. She was looking for papers. She was looking for the adoption papers for the police officer. The police officer wanted to see these adoption papers of the boys. And they were in the master bedroom looking for the adoption papers in the drawers and stuff. And then, and I'm assuming, this is my guess, is that's why they had the dispatcher call CPS to kind of confirm because they were searching for the papers and they weren't finding it. And then, okay, then it was cross-examination. This was at 2:04 p.m. So the defense attorney comes up and she's like, confirms you were in the academy for how long? 6 months. You've been an officer at this point in California City, 5 months. You're a brand new officer, right? Yes. She says, did you learn how to write reports as an officer in training? Yes. And then you got better and learned more when you were actually with your field training officer. And he says, yes. And she's like, in training, are you taught that you have to sign your reports? And he says, yes. Pugs are the best, aren't they? I get distracted when I see your comments, guys. So anyway, that Flores guy, the officer Flores, who was with Hansen, he didn't make any reports. He said, I didn't write any reports. I didn't submit any reports. I didn't do anything. Even though he was questioning, even though he had body cam footage, even though he did not write any report on this at all. She says, you had your body cam on. He said, yes. And then he said, where was it on you? And he pointed to his chest, but we couldn't see it clearly. And she says, how do you turn it on and off? He says, there's a button, you can turn it on and off. So basically saying, you have control of when it's on and when it's off. Okay, let me just, so A17 was the call sign for Hansen and A25 was for Flores, but it's not documented anywhere because he was partnered with Flores, he says. Then they were absolutely the first to arrive. They said, because this is cross, so you're going to get some questions kind of repeated, but she's clarifying things. And then they went to look for kids, they said, and they were the only two initial officers that showed up, two of them first. Let's see. And then they said who else showed up, and he said somebody, I don't know if I got the names right, Hulse, Anthony was the one guy. Oh my God. Anthony, the officer named Anthony was, they said was there. Cabrelis, Anthony Cabrelis, he said was there. And he said, Hightower and Hayes. So those were the officers that were there at some point during the night, during the investigation. And then she said Hansen and Cabrillas basically took the lead, and Flores assisted. And his job was to keep his eyes on Trezell and Jacqueline, like, don't let them out of your sight kind of thing. So that's what they were doing. He was that Joshua Flores. He was in charge of watching them. And remember in that press conference, they said they wouldn't let us go outside or anything. They wouldn't let us. So that kind of clarifies that, because there was like, why weren't you looking for them? Why weren't you looking for the kids? She's like, they didn't let us go. Well, Flores said right here that he was told he had to watch them, keep them in his sight at all times. And then she said something weird. She goes, now you were called here for a child disappearance, right? And they said, right. Children disappeared, like missing children, right? And he said, right. You were not called for some kind of violent situation or anything like that, right? And he said, correct. There was no dog named Chalk. Everybody, no dog named Chalk. That's a lie. That's a rumor. That's not true. They were playing with chalk. It was in the trial today. The police officers saw chalk written on the ground in behind the house on the patio. There was actual chalk. I feel like I'm having flashbacks to 2020 right now. So then they asked, where'd you search? They searched in that dirt lot. They looked on Proctor. Okay, so let me see. I put the map up here. Let's look at that real quick. Let's look at the map. So here's Aspen. They said they searched Proctor. They said Ron's Beauty. Where's that? Anybody see a street called Ron's Beauty or something like that? They said Georgetown. Again, my notes might be bad on this, but here's Georgetown. Here, Proctor. And then they came back. They said they spoke. She said, did you speak to any neighbors? And he said, yes. And she said, how many neighbors did you speak to while you were going around? He's like, about 2 maybe. She said, did you get their names? He said, no. Did you get their addresses? He said, no. No names, no phone number, no addresses, nothing of the people that you spoke to. No. We don't know if the boys are already dead. That's why we're at the trial, to find out. I'm telling you right now what went on in court today. Nobody except for the people that arrested them say the kids were already dead. But so now we're listening to the evidence to find out. And it's only day one. And so far on day one, all they've talked about is December 21st, what Trezell and Jacqueline said, what they were doing, what they said happened. So according to why they were arrested, they said they were dead. But we're not there yet. I'm really trying to stick with what happened today in the trial. I hope that makes sense. Right. At this point, they're just looking for the kids. And the cops are a little... No, you're fine, West. It's fine. I'm just trying to explain because I'm trying not to like mess up the story, like, and jump around myself either, because I'm super ADD sometimes and I go, what? Squirrel, You can see. So they didn't get the names. The Cal City police officers talked to people, didn't get the names. Nothing. Yeah, this is in trial right now. Today was day one of the trial. So then she points out that it was really dark around the house. He said yes. And he didn't go look in the yard. Flores says he never went to the yard, but he was able to see the chalk. Flores never went out in the yard. Other ones did. He said on the concrete slab, there was chalk written, colored on there in the backyard. And they showed a picture. They put it in as evidence, and we don't get to see, but they did have a picture of the chalk, and they showed it to him, and they said, "Is this what you saw?" And he said, "Yes." So there was definitely chalk. Don't know if somebody put it there that, as a lie. Who knows? We don't know how it got there. But according to the West, the boys were playing with chalk, and they disappeared. And so, let me get back. And then I guess apparently somehow came up that the gate was really wiggly. The gate was not very secure anyway. They said there was wrapping paper, scissors, and tape in the living room when they got there. Oh, Vicky, you got called? Oh, interesting. And then so there was set wrapping paper, scissors, and tape. So the props for the wrapping story were there. And then it got really interesting. The defense attorney says to Officer Flores, "Did someone hand you the West's gun?" And he said, "Not that I know of." She said, "So you never were handed the West's gun?" He said, "No." Like, okay. She said, "Where was your gun? Where do you keep your gun?" He said, "In my holster on the right side." And she said, "You never put your gun in your back pocket?" He's like, "No." So then she says, maybe this will help you. And she brings out body cam footage, and she brings out body cam footage, right? And she shows in a reflection, I guess, Officer Hansen gives Officer Flores the West's gun, and Officer Flores puts the gun in his back pocket. And basically, she's like, yeah, it says the body cam shows mirror follow. So the firearm in the back pocket. So that was weird because he was denying this Officer Flores. Now I know it's been 2 years and things are hard to remember, but I think I would remember that. I don't know. So Officer Hansen gave Officer Flores Trezell's gun, and he put it in his back pocket. Then they started discussing the photos, who sent them to who of the children. And I guess Jackie sent it to Officer Flores. And then they said, were they older? And then there was some confusion about older, like the kids were older or the pictures were old or whatever, but they meant like more recent pictures. So they had to clarify that. And again, she sent those to his personal cell phone or his email. She says, "Do you have those pictures she sent you?" He said, "No." "Did you put them in a report?" He says, "No." I do have to say, from everything I'm hearing, the California City police officers did not do a great job with this. There's a lot of missing things right here that the defense is having a really good time pointing out, which could wind up being a problem. I mean, if the West really did this and their investigation was that crappy, that's a problem. He didn't save them. No one booked the photos into evidence. That was it. And then no redirect. Prosecutions don't want to talk to him anymore. So they do have him subject to recall, though. Then witness number three was Mike Balabakayan. The neighbor that, what's his name? AV Watchman dude. Was that his name? Went to the house. Now this one got, like, I know this case pretty well. And so they brought him on the stand, and they said, the prosecution says, you have cameras on your house. How many cameras do you have in your house? And he says like 6 or 8. Do you remember that was a big thing? That video of the guy that lives, if you came out their front door, there's a field over here, and then to the right, that house had cameras pointing right at the West house. And they said, do you have 6 to 8 cameras? He said yes. They said it was Exhibit 11 was a still picture of him, Mike, speaking to a police officer. And then Exhibit 11A was a video. And he said, did you speak to a police officer? He said, I don't remember. Did you show the footage? He said they came and took the DVR themselves. She said, how long did they keep it? They kept it for like 10 to 14 days. And then they showed him the footage of December 19th, December 20th, and December 21st. They call that 11A, and 11 was the still photos. Then that was it from the prosecution. Then the cross-examination, she said, this was the security cameras there, or did you put them up? He said they were there when I moved in. How long did you live there? About a year. She said, is there any kind of delay on your video cameras? He said, I don't think so. And she said, and then they talked about the timestamp could possibly be wrong. And she said, now this is what she said, and I wish I could re-listen to this because I was like, wait, what? She said, did you ever go back and watch those videos again? And he said, no. It's all over the internet. He let the dude in and they watched him. I got clips of it. I got clips of them watching the clips, right? So I was like, what? Is he saying he never watched those videos again? That doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, that is true. They were feeling very pressured by the Bio family. I do remember that. Like, they extra protective over that because there's a lot about that. And that should, I'm assuming that accurately would come out. The part that's accurate about that will come out in this trial. Does anybody know how long this trial is supposed to last? All these trials are happening at the same time. I can't take it. I need to quit my job for like 2 months. And then, so yes, I never went back and reviewed it. I don't know why you could say that because that is on the internet. So, and then she asked him something about contrast of colors. Does the video have the ability to change color, contrast colors? Like, probably. That was pretty much the end of him. I was like waiting for a moment where they went, well, how about this video that was on the internet with lots of people talking about it? You were standing there watching it, but didn't happen. Then Anthony Cabrillos came on the stand. And he said he's worked at Cal City for 2 years. He now works in Baldwin Park, and he was in LA for 9 years. He's been in Baldwin Park for a year. So during this time, he worked at Cal City. He's been an officer for 12 years. He didn't have a partner with him when he showed up to this call. He was by himself. And she said, what kind of call was it? It was a missing children call. Said they searched in the house, then the yard, then the neighborhood. And they said, what was your task? Because I guess since Flores was assigned to keep his eyes on Jacqueline and Trezell, Officer Anthony Cabrillos was assigned to find camera footage in the neighborhood. So they searched the property, the empty lot, around the fence, possible exit of the fence behind to have taken. I don't know. And then he said there was Ring camera footage. And the Ring camera footage they found was some short clips from a neighbor that had Ring camera footage. They said, it was the neighbor at 10724. And he spoke with Officer Hansen. It's the guy across the street. He has doorbell camera. They said, was there any evidence in these clips? She said, no, nothing. And it was no help, no evidence. And then he said that then Hansen took over. And then this officer went back to do the report. So that was the report that was signed Anthony, right? And then he said he sat in one interview that when they took Jacqueline and Trezell back to the police station too. Well, they showed it to them, but we can't see it, Ruby. We can only hear, it's audio only. So they showed it to him and the jury, but they didn't show the video of AV and him talking about that. He said he never looked at those videos again. All they did was show the videos after the police got him, took him, made the copy, whatever. So the Ring camera, he sat in one interview with Jacqueline and Trezell and listened in on that interview. And there was a camera in the interview, clearly. Then they went on break. It was 2 o'clock, 58 minutes. They went on a 15-minute break till 3:15. Then this was really, really, really hard to hear, but it was Jacqueline's interview when they took her to the police station. And they were asking her, from what I could get, it was really hard to hear. It had terrible audio. Hopefully the jurors could hear better than me. But she said, and then the way that they were playing it through the audio for us to hear was like somebody's typing and stuff was like on their desk. So it was really hard. But they said to Jackie in the interview, when was the last time all 6 kids were together? And she said, Saturday. And he said, well, where were the other boys? Now she said they were at mom's. I made a sad face, but said audio sad face because I was having a hard time. And then the last time she saw the little boys, Orrin and Orson, she said today, the 21st. And she said, what were they doing? And she was talking about them playing and outside, outside, chalk. She said, what were you doing? She said, I was wrapping presents in the living room. She said the gate was open. They said to her, we took search dogs in there. Search dogs did not pick up the scent of those kids inside the house or outside the house. We have tons of surveillance from neighbors. There's no sign of those kids. They said, so they're questioning her. So they're either in the house still, or they were taken out in a vehicle. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. And then he says, so what happened from Saturday to today? She said, regular stuff. He's like, what do you mean regular stuff? He said, what did you do after you took the other kids to grandma's? She said, we got gas. And then asked her if she had any issues with the Bio family. And she sort of says, well, nobody knows we live in California City. We had some issues, but we moved to California City. Nobody knows that we lived here. The Bio family shouldn't even know where we're at, is basically what she was saying. She said Bio moms still wanted to be part of their lives. And then there was some mumbling, and I can't tell what she said after that. And she said, no one knows we live down here. And then they said, when did your mom, this is the prosecution. And I said, when did you play in this? But it's the video of her in the police station. When did your mom see all the kids? And then she said, well, when you dropped off the other kids at your mom's, did she see the boys? And she said, no, I stayed in the car with the boys. I stayed in the car with the little ones. So they dropped him off. And she said, so they didn't see the Orrin and Orson. She said no. CPS said then that evening, December 21st, they asked him if they knew if there was any officer, any recall about CPS, because this officer saying he knew nothing about calling CPS, knew nothing about CPS. Then cross-examination. So Anthony, so the cross is with Anthony, who was that officer that sat in that audio, but he wasn't doing the questioning, but he was in there. And he does not have a department cell phone, he said. He has body-worn camera. He wears it on his chest, on his left lapel button, on and off, turned on and off with the button. The date and time, I guess, were wrong on his body camera, they pointed out. He never knew that, and he never saw that. They reviewed his police report from December 21st, and it was the only report, and it wrote that Hansen was the lead. And then she was showing him, she's like, look at the bottom right-hand corner. I guess that was where the date is, and that it was incorrect. They said after all that with the body cameras, the whole department had to get new body cameras, I guess, after this whole incident, after this investigation. And she said, is it common practice to keep the body camera on? And she said, okay, yeah. He said, yeah, it's common practice. And then she said, let me ask you some more questions about common practice. And she said, cell phone. Do you use your cell phone to communicate with other officers, your private cell phone, blah, blah, blah. He said, yeah, that's pretty common practice that we do that. And she said, did you put any of that pertinent info in the police report? Did you obtain any information related to CPS? He says, no. He says, I don't remember the information. The only reason he knew they were foster adopt kids was because the Wests told them. She said, how do you normally get a hold of CPS? Like, he said, well, we call them if we have a kid and we suspect child abuse or something, we call them. So we have a phone number to call CPS. And he gave the number. He started to say it, 760 something, blah, blah, blah. And then, she said, what's this number? He says, I don't recognize the number. And then he doesn't remember at all having a conversation with CPS. She asked him this over and over, like, did you talk to CPS? He's like, no, never talked to them. She's like, are you sure? He's like, I don't recall talking to him. And then he adamantly denies, I did not talk to CPS. But what I'm getting is there was something in the report about him talking to CPS. Then he said the lieutenant delegated responsibility to find surveillance equipment. He handled Aspen and adjacent contacted neighbors, notes who did not have cameras. That's not in the report either. So he went around like, they don't have camera, they don't have a 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 camera. He didn't write that in any report about all these people not having cameras. And then did you go to Mr. Dobbins across the street? Because he is the only one with Mr. Dobbins across the street is the only one with doorbell camera. Because they were telling Jackie, we have tons of surveillance camera. The dogs didn't smell anything. But the only part that they had, the only camera they got from doorbell camera was the exact across the street neighbor, Dobbins is his name. And she said, so only in the report, that's the only one. Yep. And then it just says, first they checked the house, the backyard, the chalk, the writing was there. The chalk writing was there on the back. he did look at the gate, touch the gate. He doesn't recall if he touched the gate. And do you know West had already spoken to other officers? He doesn't recall. When did you take them to the station? I don't know. Some of my notes are bad. I'm sorry. It's what happens when you can't totally focus. But I'm trying. I mean, at least it's more than we had, you know. And then who was Hulse, Angelo, Hightower? Were the others still? And then she says to him, "So when you guys all left, who was left there as far as officers?" And he says, "Hulse, Angelo, Hightower were there." And she said, "And a lot of civilians were helping search." And he said, "Yes." She said, "How many civilians? How many neighbors were helping search?" He said, "I don't know." She said, "More than 100?" He said, "I don't know." "More than 50?" He said, "I don't know." She said, "A lot?" He said, "A lot." And no one got their names? Nope. None of the people that were searching's names were in the police report. Nope. Unsure what directions they were given. We didn't know. They weren't given any directions. They were just out there going, "Orrin, Orson, Orrin." We heard all that on things that were released. Nobody knew who searched. Nobody took any information from the people that searched. Right. Correct, he says. We don't know if they were told to go this way, that way, which way they went. She said, "Did you look inside any homes in the area?" He says, "No. No one went in any homes. No one looked at any homes." She says, "Do you know what Megan's list is?" He said, "Yes." She said, he said sexual offenders in the area would be on Megan's list. She said, "Did any of the registered sex offenders in that area, were they contacted that night?" And no, it's not in the police report. She kept bringing up 108th Street. Did you speak to, she brought it up a lot, and I'm sure it'll get clarified at some point, but she kept saying, "Did you speak to the house on 108th Street?" So let me go back to we're still here. I didn't even know. I didn't even know I should have stolen my camera. You guys, I'm very tiny and small. Okay, hold on. Now, since I'm still showing it, I'll go. But 108th Street is over here. Right here. And so she was asking about 108th Street, about like a camera and she said, "Did you speak to these people on 108th Street?" And he said, "No." So so I made my little map, but the only doorbell camera that they got anything out of, and it was just small clips. It wasn't like a whole flood of, like a running camera. On my doorbell camera, you can start it somewhere and it'll play, but I don't know if it's because I pay for that service, or if they just all don't work like that. Probably because I pay for it, but you can only save them for so long. And I said, "Okay, so that night you didn't talk to Mr. Dobbins across the street right away. What time did you talk to him?" They kind of came up with, they've talked to him about midnight that night. They, by phone in, contacted him at his house. And it was after they took the West to the police station that they got a hold of Mr. Dobbins across the street around midnight. And then they said, "No further questions." And then the other attorney popped up, and I believe, so it's Trezell and West have their own attorneys, but one of them is doing all the questioning. The other one, which is a guy, he got up and he said, "I have another question for you." He said to this police officer, he said, "What is a ruse?" And "Do you know what a ruse is?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "A ruse is an interrogation tactic." And he said, "So a ruse is an interrogation tactic where you say things like, 'Dogs don't smell the scent of the kids anywhere in the house or outside of the house. We have tons of surveillance video.'" He said, "That's a ruse?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "Were those questions asked to Jacqueline?" and told was that told to Jacqueline in her interview that tons of surveillance, we have tons of surveillance, we have dogs didn't smell anything, blah, blah, blah. And he said, yes. And he said, and it was a lie, right? It was a ruse. You try to do this ruse to get people to confess. And he said, yes. And that is where they ended the day. Any questions? Any questions from the peanut gallery? Let me look back and see if you guys have any. Oh, okay, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Ruby, the house not directly besides the West are people who know the Bio family, not directly beside. There's two lots, Vicky, right? The junk house in the back. Is that what you're talking about? Mine works on motion, or so something has to be moving to get it record, and it has to be about 4 feet tall and within 20 feet of the door. Okay, interesting. Let's see. I'm scrolling back for you guys here. Let's see if I missed any good comments or stuff. I was going over that. Okay. Let's see. I missed the opening and the whole morning. I had to go out before they came back from lunch and caught the last 45 minutes. Some of the audio was so low I couldn't hear it. Yeah, that's why some of the audio was just bad. I was so bummed because I was trying. It's really hard, especially knowing how law enforcement always drops the ball. For the West to be arrested for murder, there must be some big evidence. That's what I would think. I would hope. Otherwise, that's pretty sad if they arrested him and they didn't have any big, right? That'd be really bad. Makes y'all scared to you might get wrongly accused if they don't have anything really good, And then we talked about the kids being star witnesses. Okay. Let's see. There was some jury instructions in regards to the kids when they testify. Ages explained at the time, ages now, and expect tears to be put emotion aside and focus on their testimony. Was that in the opening statements or in the jury instructions? Hey there, Cavalier Mom. Right, the dog wasn't Chuck. We talked about that. A lot of people feel like that they never left Bakersfield, and that's what that's what the prosecution is sort of going with here. And then you guys had your whole Chuck conversation. Everyone was looking for answers and grabbing onto what was easy to understand. True. A.B. Watchman, yes. Okay. Jimmy May has 2 pugs. We like pugs. Pugs. Pug. My pug likes nighttime. He's not a night person. He's a morning person. Thank you. He's a morning person, but he literally will, like, I'm watching TV out in the living room and he'll grab his bear. He has this bear. He likes to sleep against his face, and he'll go to bed, and then he'll get mad at me because I'm not coming to bed. I'm like, no, I'm not going to bed yet. I'm out here. Did they tell them not to go out and help search? See, now that I remember hearing her say that in the press conference that day, then they got the press conference where they got really picked apart. I remember her saying, because people were like, why the Bio family auntie or whatever that was there, why didn't you go out and look? Everybody's looking for these babies. You didn't. She said, well, they wouldn't let us. They wouldn't let us out. So she had said that. And that kind of, in my opinion, a little bit confirmed it by that police officer, Joshua Flores, saying that he was told he had to keep eyes on them the whole time. No dog named Chalk. No dog named Chalk. No dog named Chalk, Lori says. And then at that press conference, to me, they did not seem hysterical enough. It was my kids. I would be holding on to my wife. Yeah, maybe, but you know what? You don't know, because like I thought, when I found out a couple weeks ago that my brother, was needed cardiac, he was a cardiac arrest, and they took him to the hospital, and then they put him on life support and all this stuff. I would normally think how I would react. It would be like, I would be just hysterical. I had to tell my mother. I thought, oh my God, that's going to be the worst thing ever to tell her something like that. And I just handled it. I just handled it. So I don't know if you can really judge people's reactions in public, or when they have to do something, you sort of pull it together. You don't know. You really don't know how you're going to react. You really don't. You don't. Because I could never imagine myself just being like, Mom, I need to talk to you. I found out something. I got a call just now. Jimmy was found unconscious. Bev had to do CPR on him. They got a weak pulse. They took him to the hospital. Like, I just was talking to her like I'm explaining something to a patient, So, you don't know, really, to be honest. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Okay, so Vicky, the detective, called you. Are you a local? I missed something here. Sorry. What I'm getting a little bit rubbed the wrong way right off the start was the way that the officers didn't just give the family the benefit of the doubt right off the bat. It was almost like they prejudged them. And that's just weird to me, that you should be able to not just decide that they're guilty. Right? I mean, literally 5 minutes in the door. I want to know the truth. There's no footprints. Are you sure you adopted them? Let me see the papers. It's very strange. They only wrote down the house numbers. They did not have video. They did not write down the house numbers or personal information of the homes with video. They did not search inside any neighbor's homes. Exactly. Which is bad police work. Jackie or Trezell was outside coloring before the report was made. Maybe. I mean, if you were going to do a scam like that, if it really was, you were going to scam law enforcement, you would definitely want to set the scene. Wanted to know how I knew my info. Okay. About why they moved to Cal City. Okay, yeah. They moved to get away from bio. That's what I was heard too, but I don't know. That you said that. So, I remember hearing that the other kids were not there. The other kids were at grandma's. Maureen, I searched for the boys in Cal City and Bakersfield. No way they wandered away. It's all weeds and desert in Cal City, lies. But what about they wandered away, somebody grabbed them, right? I mean, or what if one of the freaking registered sex offenders got them? Or what if one of the people that are bad people were out helping the crowd of people look for him, found him, and took him? It's just weird, there's so many possibilities with that. About how the bio family were at the apartments they lived at. Gotcha. Yeah, that was so weird with the gun in the pocket thing. Like, why was he saying, nope, I didn't have the gun in my pocket? Like, what? You don't remember that? I'm pretty sure even if you have a really kind of shady memory about everything, you'd remember that. That's kind of a big deal. Like, here, hold this gun, put it in your back pocket. Where's the gun? I don't know. Let's see. I get grandma. The biological family, we're treating them at the apartments. We're treating them at the apartments they were living at. That's why they moved. Treating them or threatening them or what? That's why they moved to Cal City, and that's why they never let the kids out, because of the biological family. Okay, we said that. Yeah. I remember that. Jackie. They did. They lied to her. And again, why would you right off the bat accuse her? I just think you would give it a minute, right? I just think it's very strange that right off the bat, they're like, they didn't leave from here. They went out in the car. There's no footprints. There's surveillance video. We know these kids, I just think it's a really weird case. I'm super, super duper duper interested in how this is all what the other evidence is and what's going to happen in the end of this. Yeah, the first foster mom was friendly with the bio mom. Yep. Remember that. And she knew where they lived, Ruby. Some invisible person, not Andrew, called CPS and left his name, Andrew, but he doesn't know the phone number that called CPS. Odd, very odd. Wait, I missed that. Was that in that hearing? Visible person, not Andrew. Anthony, right? Visible person, not Anthony, called CPS and left his name, Andrew, but he doesn't know the phone number. CPS. The bio mom and her mom went to Cal City to take presents to the boys. Yes, they did. I remember that. Yep, I was just talking you through. Have the adopted parents ever said what happened, or have they stuck to the original story? I believe they've stuck to the original story. Several hours later, they were taken to the station. He couldn't give a time. He didn't write it down, and his body cam had wrong date and time. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty sad. I can make some jokes, but I'm trying to behave. That Andrew had a gun in his back pocket. Anthony. No, that was Flores that had the gun in the back pocket. Ruby, the house not directly besides the West are people who knew the Bio family. Okay, got that. I'm getting down here. Mine works on motion. We did that one. Bruce equals lie. Yeah. And that's what it was. They can lie. They lied right to her and said, the junk house. No questions here, Kathy. It's just nice to hear what happened today. Thank you. That's how the boys were taken. Why does Lori has a hearing tomorrow? Why? What's that for? There's no way anyone carried those boys across the empty space without with them screaming or kicking. You think they were taken over back fence and just drove away on that back road? That was always my thoughts. The board to fence was open for them to go through. The back one, right? Because there's the side fence that goes into the lot, and then there's a back fence that goes into where that junk house is. There were two cars in front on GPS, the same gold car that was at the West interview they did on the street. Yeah, super curious about the evidence. I heard on KGET the last pics were in July and the boys went missing in September. This is from their morning attendance. It's a short 2-minute video. Okay, thank you. But I just still think it's weird that that officer didn't put the pictures that Jacqueline gave him into the information, into the report. Didn't log it. Just took it in his own cell phone. She's like, do you still have it? He's like, no, I don't have it. Vicky says, Biomom has those boys somewhere. That was what I thought in the beginning. I did. It's still not beyond the realm of possibilities, but I'm trying to believe that once Bakersfield and FBI and everybody got involved, they found something pretty good to arrest both of them for murder. Not one, both. And And I keep hearing that the kids are the ones that talked, other kids. So it's just so weird. It's just I think it's just a really weird case. The real dog is in the background barking the whole time. The whole time in the body cam, that dog is there. Dog's barking, 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 barking. There were connections in North Carolina. I heard that too. Why do you think they had search warrants out of state, and why the bio mom could not be located? She was posting off and on Facebook, though. I saw that a lot, but I wonder if she's at the trial. Does anybody know what family members are at the trial? Police officers can be kind of jerky, though. Yes, they can. Absolutely. So they got $4 a month for each child. So they share that with the bio mother. So they're hiding the kids. Wait, I missed that. Trial is not being aired. But I heard the judge say something about the camera. So I don't know if they're letting the news people in there to show clips and just not streaming the whole thing. But you can listen to the audio. But it's live and you're not allowed to record. It's like, do not record this. It is against the law. You can be sent. You'll be in the jail cell with Trezell and Jacqueline. I'm kidding, but that's how I feel when I read them. I'm like, no, I'm not recording nothing. Why are people saying the boys are never there? Good question. I'd like to know that too. Now, they said they were very protective of these kids and they didn't let them out, but they let them in the backyard, apparently. Yes, Discord we are in Discord. We have Discord. Left Undone has a Discord, and you're welcome to come. I can put the link in the chat I don't know if you did, because I'm sort of behind. Let me see. That is not Discord, Kathy. Where'd my Discord go? Do it. Invite people. Copy. Come back, people. Here is the Discord link. If you don't understand Discord, just Google and figure out how to do it. It's not that hard once you get it done. We had to do it. We figured it out. It took us a while. We're a lot of middle-aged moms, grandmas, but we're a little slower. Let's see. It is, and we talk about stuff constantly in Discord. We're busy in there. We kept running conversation all day long. Within the first couple of hours, the police were getting calls accusing the Wests. I'm sure the West lawyer will bring that up as things progress. Oh, really? The bio mom has big family in Bakersfield as well as gang members. Yes, the dad, I believe the bio dad was in prison. Was he in prison when this all went down? I don't know. I don't remember. But they're not. There's like a lot of gang affiliations there too. Was that the bio dad? I remember there was something that came out about that too. Gosh, there's so much stuff. I've never heard anything the other kids have said either. That's supposed to be the big evidence of the century there. Threatening, okay. Why wouldn't law enforcement go over case details before heading court? He said, did you review? I know they asked the one officer, did you review any of the body cam or anything before you came? He said, no, I only reviewed the report. Orrin was killed first. Orson lived in Cal City for 4 days, according to article posted today. I missed that part. That might have been come from the opening statement. Maybe. Which isn't evidence, but because I didn't hear the opening statement. Life without Rachel, so life without parole. Vicky says those boys are not dead. I think a nobody case is really hard to prove. So that right there was reasonable doubt. So they better have some hard evidence. Just the fact that there's no body is reasonable doubt, right? So you better have some really, really, really good evidence, is what I'm saying. Right. Nothing's come out. But I'm just wondering if it was from the opening statements. Followed a YouTuber who followed them in a camper when they arrested. Yes, some people get a little too into it, but teach his own. I'm not an on the scene YouTuber by any means. I don't want to get dragged into court ever. No, 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 no. I remember I was saying that I thought the bio mom went there to see the kids, and Jewelry's probably gave in and let her see the boys, and she snatched them. Oh, that's a good theory. They said they were at different times because they believe they are deceased. The back fence had a couple weak spots that would be easy to get through. Got it. I know no thanks. He went there, and I remember we were talking, and he had a FaceTime camera, and he was there looking at that back fence. Directly behind them is a house with a swimming pool, the house next to it. Okay. What? Hello. Hey, Mama D. They showed on KGT. None of those houses were searched, right? That should have been done right away. People should have gotten names, asked questions, written down, like, I'm sorry, here's when, and I don't know, there's probably some nurses out there. If it's not charted, it wasn't done. That was drilled into our brain. Drill. If it's not charted, it wasn't done. If it's not charted, it wasn't done. So you could do anything and everything, but if you didn't chart it, it wasn't done. And I believe that pretty much is how law enforcement should be. You take names, you write, quote people, I mean, I have to say, patient stated, la, 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 la. I put it in quotes, and then what I taught them or what I told them back or, so I just imagine that law enforcement should be doing the same thing. We hate charting. Charting is the worst. It takes my whole freaking day up. Patient care is like what? A third of my day? The rest is charting. And charting is just CYA. It's what it is all about. It's a documentation of what you did. So, not $4, $4,000. Okay, I'm like $4. That doesn't seem very okay. Got it. Where's Ryan Dean? She's not there. Ro is. Okay, Ryan Dean is not at the. Where is she? Why isn't she there? She's the bio mom that wanted the kids back so badly. Where is she? Ro has been very invested in this, and I don't believe if anything, honestly, in my guess, if this theory that the bio mom was involved, I don't believe Ro would know. I believe that she really, truly believes the Wests are horrible people. That's just my take on it. The opening and closing and sentences are allowed to be filmed. The rest of the trial will be in person or by audio. Got it. Okay, that's why he was talking about camera. Got it. So they filmed the opening this morning. So it should be somewhere. See, I missed that. I kept trying to get the thing to work, and I was like, oh, it's not going to work. Oh, it's not going to work. And then all of a sudden I went back, and it was the end of the opening statement. So I was like, oh, it works. Yeah, that is kind of weird, right? But I think Ro has been very invested in this. Jane says she thinks they were gone from Bakersfield. Yes, we can help you figure it out if you come to Discord. Please come visit us and hang out. At Journey to Justice, they were getting $4,000 a month for the children that they adopted. Per child? Not per child. Maybe total? There's no way they were getting that per child. You mean like the adopted kids, so $1,000 each probably? California ain't giving nobody that much money each. Be total $4,000 makes sense. Freaking kids are expensive. It was obvious Trezell and Jackie were scared during the interview. They were scared, and they were being yelled at. So I'd be scared too. I don't like getting up in front of people. I mean, you guys are fine because I can't see your faces looking at me. I just see your typing. But I don't like public in front of a crowd. They don't work. How do they get their money? I believe there was some work. A lot of people don't work and have money. Again, it's California. It's very easy to live off the government. The boys have separate fathers, right? Same mom, separate fathers. We all messed up these tables. Yeah, he had a drone. Are you talking about no thanks? It showed the area very good. The thing is, the kids never lived at that house long. One didn't even make it there, according to what the prosecution is trying to prove. Is that where that is? So they were wrapping gifts that night. What were they wrapping? Did they check the gifts? I don't know. That hasn't come up yet either. It's only day one. We'll find out. I'm sure we'll find something out. Yeah, check the gifts. They didn't even check the other houses for kids. Exactly. But kind of true, right? Ruby, like, what are they going to look at the gifts for? They didn't even look in the houses. They didn't even look for the kids very good. Like, we drove over here. We drove over here. We didn't take any names. The verdict will be live too. Good to know. Good to know. Okay, we'll grab that for sure. He was allowed to film and a couple others, but I don't know who the others are. Then the judge has to approve the video before they release it on the news. Get rich by taking kids in. I don't know. My kids were I had 4 kids, and honest to God, I'm making less money now than when I had them at home, and I have more money now because they're all grown. My dad is on a pension from military, though. The dad is on a pension from the military. I thought, oh, maybe that might be it. If you do leave the military, you do get some benefits. So, okay. Yeah, they're my kids, but they weren't expensive. Well, they were their kids too if they adopted them, right? Like, if you adopt them, they're your kids. I'm just telling you, my kids were expensive. But I don't know about their kids. California City is not like, it's not the nicest part of California. It's pretty rural-ish, small town-ish. He's probably trying to figure out why I'm doing this on a weeknight. So I guess that's it. I mean, I'll try to listen in tomorrow too. This morning I made a video real quick on my lunch break. Probably just easier to do a live stream if I have time from what I can get in. If you guys got any good notes and you hear anything too, please feel free to jump in. Because like I said, I can't take time off of work to listen to this, even though I really want to. I really want to take time off to work to listen to this, Letitia, and the Vallow case. So, but it's not happening. Yes, surely they have I hope they do, because kids can say things under pressure. They can say anything. And where were they when they said this? And who took this interview? And I'm just trying to be like a juror, like open my mind, innocent until proven guilty. What are they going to show us? What's going to prove to me that I believe that yes, you can become a Loyal Lou membership. We have memberships here. We have a members only live streams on Friday nights, happy hour. And we have members only areas in Discord that you can get into and talk the channels and stuff like that. And I know it's so hard. Darn, making a living stuff. It's for the birds. Support payments for fostering stop when you adopt. then you can apply for other things like you can for BioKids. So much assumed when it comes to adoption. No one I know has adopted money. No one I know that has adopted gets money. Yeah, I would assume, right? But I did hear something about California does have a program where you can still get money after you adopt. But I don't know that. It's not a fact. It's not a fact. I'd have to do some research to find out if that's for everybody or certain circumstances. I know if you have a special needs child, if these kids were actually, had some kind of a diagnosis as special needs, you can get more money for that. So, yeah. Yes, anyone can hear the audio only. Do you want me to put but please don't record it because I don't want them to take it away from us. Nobody record it. Let me get the link. Hold on if I can get it. Kern. Okay, this will be it. This should get you the right. This is County of Kern. They're in Metro Division, Department 4, and they have audio. It has audio streaming. Let me show you. Let me come back here. Present. I am going to stop screen. I'm just going to show you the website. It looks like this. County of Kern, Metro Division, Department 4, audio streaming. And it says users of the court's audio streaming. Speaking of kids, users of the court's audio streaming service are reminded of the general prohibition against photographing, recording, and rebroadcasting of court proceedings, including those held by telephone or video conference. See California's Rule of Court 1.150 and this court standing number. Any recordings of a court proceeding is absolutely prohibited without a court order. Violation of this court order is punishable as contempt, so don't get in trouble. And it does say it works better with Chrome, Firefox, or Edge. So there's the link. Oh, Ruby's taking a poll. Yeah, I think most people think they're guilty. Yes, real time only. Real time only. That's what makes it so hard. I like the other ones where you can pause. Like when I'm working, I can pause. It takes me a lot longer. Like I'm watching until 8:00 at night, but I can work fully, listen while I'm on listen while I'm on call, pause them on calls and stuff, and then work. I'm a case manager, so I work from home. I'm high risk OB case manager. So my background is 21 years of OB nursing, labor and delivery, and now high risk OB. So I work from home, which is great. But it's still hard because it's Monday through Friday. So all 4 kids have the same story. Haven't seen the boy since September. Oldest brother said he heard Orrin making noise at night, and the next day he was blue and not breathing. So that's the stories we want. That's the evidence we want to see and hear, like the actual stuff like that. And yes, you can pay for transcripts as well. So is that from the opening statements, Liz? Okay, thank you. I need to go find those. I didn't see them. Although I don't know, maybe, well, yeah, because the jury hears opening statements. So I would like to hear the opening statements. I also heard the very end where they said one of the officers had their hand on Jacqueline's leg, which is inappropriate when they were interviewing her. So the other child saw something. He's not lying. And again, that's why I think we just have to listen and see what we come up with. So far, this, and then I really don't feel like so far the prosecution's done much, but they may have a really big item in their back pocket. Like you just said, So this stuff really doesn't mean much, that the officers did a kind of a crappy job. May not even mean much. That's from the opening statements. It'll be really interesting to hear the kids talk, huh? Really interesting. Okay, well, I'm going to end because I jumped off of work and ate real quick and then I did this. So I'll try to get some notes tomorrow. If any of you guys get anything, that'd be great. If you're in Discord, share there. Let me know what you hear that maybe I don't. And then we can review again, okay? And thank you all. I didn't see any super chats, but that's okay. I'll live. But yes, I do have, if you do want to support my channel, there's links as well. And you're always welcome to do that. You're very, very welcome. You're very welcome. Thanks for being here. And if you could at least do the thumbs up, I would really appreciate that. Thank you. And subscribe if you're not subscribed. I would really, really appreciate that too. Okay. Night, Mama D. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to Left Undone, watching Left Undone Incomplete Investigations. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, and we appreciate you. Stay safe, stay well, and I will be back hopefully tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.